Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft, welcoming you to our live 5 days a week look into all things Oakland County. Today, we'll be talking to students, musicians, municipal leaders, and more about topics important to people like you right here in Oakland County. Let's get into today's headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page. Our top story today is from the Oakland Press's Gina Joseph. Downward trend continues for Michigan's gas prices. Good news there. The trickling relief in gas prices continued over the holiday weekend for a third consecutive week after record prices at the pump. Gas prices in Michigan continue to move downward, this time down 11 cents from a week ago, according to a AAA report. But it's still $1.74 a gallon more than it was at this time a year ago. Michigan drivers are now paying on average about $4.94 per gallon for regular unleaded gas. This price is 8 cents more than this time last month and about $74 for a full 15-gallon tank of gasoline. AAA reported on Monday that the national average for a gallon of regular gasoline has decreased by 9 cents to $4.81 from a week ago. Due to delayed release of the Energy Information Administration, or EIA's, report on gasoline supply and demand last week, the federal agency released 2 weeks of data yesterday that showed gasoline demand decreased each week in that 2-week period. Gas demand currently sits at 8.93 million B/D, which is lower than last year's rate of 9.11 at the end of June. On the other hand, total domestic gasoline stocks increased by 2.6 million BBL to 21.6 million BBL. These supply and demand dynamics and decreasing oil prices have pushed pump prices lower. As these trends continue, drivers will likely continue to see relief at the pump. Compared to last week, Metro Detroit's daily average gas price decreased with a current average of $5.04 per gallon, about 11 cents less than last week's average, and $1.76 more than the same time a year ago. AAA state and Metro gas averages showed the most expensive gas prices are averaging in Ann Arbor at $5.07 a gallon, Metro Detroit at $5.04 a gallon, and Marquette at $5.03 per gallon. The least expensive gas prices in the state are averaging in Benton Harbor at $4.80 per gallon, in the Grand Rapids, Muskegon, and Holly Tri-City area at $4.84 per gallon, and in Traverse City at $4.86 per gallon. You can find local gas prices, daily, national, state, and Metro Detroit gas price averages can be found on AAA's website. It's linked in this article. Motorists can find the lowest gas prices on their smartphone or tablet with the AAA app, as well as other apps such as Gas Buddy. That app can be used to find a map to a route to those gas stations, discounts, book a hotel, and access other resources from AAA and other organizations. There's other ways to save on gasoline. Some of them are combining errands to limit driving time, keeping an eye out for the best gas prices in your local community or communities that you'll be venturing into over time, and consider paying in cash. Some retailers are charging extra per gallon for customers who pay with a credit card. Remove excess weight in your vehicle, another way to save some money at the pump. And finally, drive conservatively. Aggressive acceleration and speeding reduces your overall fuel economy. All those details and more can be found in this article, as well as helpful links to more resources that will help you find some relief at the gas pump this summer. Also making headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page from Beth LeBlanc of the Detroit News. The UIA, the Unemployment Insurance Agency, questions a pause on unemployment overpayment collections. The status of collections activities of alleged overpayments of unemployment insurance is unclear once again, as the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency has urged a judge to clarify an order pausing collections on overpayments. The confusion stems from a June 13th order in a class action lawsuit in which Michigan Court of Claims Judge Brock Swartzel issued a preliminary injunction halting state unemployment collections activity in cases where a claimant is appealing the agency's determination that he or she was overpaid. In its Tuesday motion for reconsideration filed 3 weeks after Swartzel's initial order, the state unemployment insurance agency asked the judge to, quote, clarify the parameters of the preliminary injunction, and closed quote, but did not challenge the injunction itself. The agency said its filing it seeks to understand the scope of, quote, who the injunctive relief applies to, whether collection suspension applies to untimely or late appeals, and what collection activity must be suspended, and closed quote. Judge Swartzel on Wednesday called for further briefings on the matter to be submitted by August 3rd since, quote, the court believes the proper resolution of the questions would be aided by application of the adversarial process, and closed quote. It's unclear whether the agency stopped collections after Swartzel's initial June 13th order or if it will pause them through August while awaiting briefings and a final order on the issue. The agency did not immediately respond when asked Wednesday whether it ever paused its collections after Swartzel's June order. David Blanchard, a lawyer for the plaintiffs in the case, said he doesn't believe the agency ever complied with Swartzel's order to stop collections. Quote, I've tried my best to confer with the agency's lawyers and pursue the administration of the judge's order, and close quote, Blanchard said, continuing on by saying, quote, sadly and ironically, the agency's press releases don't really match up with what they're actually doing, whether it's collections against individuals or the argument that they're making in court, and closed quote. The agency's hesitancy to stop collections doesn't ring true since both state and federal law allows the agency to grant waivers for overpayments made due to an agency error, Blanchard said. The January class action lawsuit challenging the state unemployment insurance agency and the agency alleged that the agency violated the due process rights of claimants by collecting money from them while their appeals were still pending. The lawsuit was filed as the agency sought to claw back benefits it said were erroneously paid to countless claimants during the rushed rollout of expanded unemployment aid during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. The agency has confirmed that the authorization of at least 55,000 overpayment waivers and had paused collections briefly between April and May with permission from the U.S. Department of Labor. In his June 13th order requiring the agency to pause collection, Judge Swartzel noted that the agency had already agreed in a separate 2017 federal settlement that it would not recover overpayments until the individual had gone through full administrative appeals processes. Quote, to say that the agency's efforts at identifying and recouping erroneously paid benefits have been uneven and challenging would be an understatement, and closed quote, Swartzel said. In its Tuesday filing, the Unemployment Insurance Agency asked Swartzel to clarify whether his injunction order should be limited to named plaintiffs in the suit or all similarly situated individuals fighting overpayment decisions across the state. The agency argued that Swartzel's order should be limited to named plaintiffs because the class hasn't been certified in the case. The agency also bucked at the order's requirements to pause all collections without detailing how they would interplay with laws that bind the collection process or whether those who had filed untimely protests or appeals were also included in said injunction. Quote, defendants are legally required to intercept tax refunds in certain cases, and therefore defendants asks that these tax intercepts be excluded from the injunction due to the confines of federal law, and closed quote, the filing said. Finally, making headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page from Navya Gupta of the Detroit Free Press, the Mackinac Bridge will be welcoming Labor Day crowds for its 64th annual walk across the bridge this summer. Be ready to lace up your shoes and grab your water bottles for the 64th annual Labor Day Mackinac Bridge walk scheduled for September 5th of this year. The walk was first held in 1958 and usually attracts between 20 and 30,000 participants per year, according to the Mackinac Bridge Authority in a news release. This year's event will begin at 6:30 a.m. local time, and participants can start walking from either the St. Ignace or the Mackinac City ends of the bridge, of course, to the other side. Governor Whitmer led last year's walk, which drew 21,000 people, just over that initial range we read earlier, 20 to 30,000. Walkers have three options for routes. One, you can walk to the midpoint of the bridge and turn back, crossing the bridge entirely and exiting from the opposite side, or crossing the bridging and walking back to the exit from their origin point. The route options are depicted in a video on the Bridge Authority's website that you can find linked in this article. The bridge will be closed to public vehicles from 6:30 a.m. until noon. In order to accommodate this event, there will be buses transporting participants across the bridge as well. All those headlines can be found on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page, as well as those ever helpful links to up-to-date and accurate information on COVID-19 from reliable resources at the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Thursday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next on the Oakland County Megacast, we'll be joined by Oakland University music student Kellen Dunlap, followed by West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder talking elections at the bottom of the hour. All that and more coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast, our live daily 1-hour show about all things Oakland County. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Kellen Dunlap is the a recent first prize recipient of the National Association of Teachers of Singing's upper class tenor in baritone and bass recognition. We have a video of Kellen's performance at that competition. We'll take a look at that now before we interview them. Joining us now on the Megacast is an award-winning music student from Oakland University. Colin Dunlap, as we said, is the recent first prize recipient of the National Association of Teachers of Singing's upper class tenor in baritone and bass recognition. Kellen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, congratulations on your award. And then secondly, just want to ask to begin, you're a music student at Oakland University. What do you hope to do with your music career? What is your ideal career going forward?
Well, after Oakland, I hope to go to graduate school for vocal performance. And someday I hope to teach voice lessons at a university or an institution. So private voice study is what I want to do.
So what got you into this? What got you specifically into developing a passion for singing, but also drew you to teaching other people to sing in the future?
Well, I've been musical since I was a little kid. I always did, the church productions and stuff when I was young, and the school productions, and the musicals, and the theater. And when I was in high school, I started taking voice lessons with a teacher pretty seriously. I started singing with the Grand Rapids Symphony Youth Chorus. And my stepdad is also a music educator. And he really inspired me, as well as many others, to not only make music as a career, but teach others how to make music as well.
We're joined by Kellen Dunlap, an Oakland University music student, joining us on the Megacast today. And Kellen, of course, is the recent recipient of first prize in the National Association of Teachers Singing, Teachers of Singing's upper class tenor, baritone, and bass division. And he's with us on the Megacast. And so you had recently also studied abroad. I see from my notes in music also. How did that experience influence you, especially now and as you approach going to grad school in the future and maybe teaching in the future as well?
Tyler, it was an amazing experience. So a little bit of background, the top choir at Oakland University took a trip to Spain for a concert tour, and we toured Madrid, Cordoba, Granada, Seville. And just taking a look at the way that other people do things, how other people from other parts of the world live their lives, and how it's different from the way that we do them here, and the understanding that it's not better or worse, it might just be a different perspective.
We're joined by Kellen Dunlop, Oakland University music student, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Of course, you can keep up to date on everything happening in the Oakland University music program, including the work of Kellen and other students, by visiting oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu. Navigate over to the music department's page for more information. Kellen, for you, when did this passion for singing begin, and how did that develop over time into something that became more than just a passion? It's something you want to make your career as well.
Probably around the time I was in high school when I joined the Grand Rapids Symphony Youth Chorus, and I got really serious about vocal technique and there's something really special about vocal music, because it is music just like any other instrument or ensemble, but we have words that we communicate to our audience, and once you begin to find ways to communicate to your audience not only just the music, but the way that the words and the music interact with one another, that's when you can touch people's minds with the music, but also their hearts with the words.
And so for you as a vocal musician, how do you incorporate that into the art that you're creating? Because you can then sing other people's songs and create your own interpretations for them, but you're also creating your own songs too, or at some point you may be interested in that also. So for musicians that are on the vocal side of music, what advice do you have to them in crafting how they deliver their art to people?
So I think just as much of what I do is acting as it is singing, because we have to think really hard about the poetry that we sing, right? These composers and these poets are very intentional about the way that they create their art, and we have to be intentional with it too. So discovering different ways that we might say a word if we're anxious, or if we're scared, or if we're joyous and happy. Those are all different ways that we create our sounds with our diction, with the way that we craft our words. And that's the part that's really that can touch people's hearts.
We're joined by Kellen Dunlap. He is an Oakland University music student joining us on the Megacast. Recent first prize awardee of the National Association of Teachers of Singing's upper class classical tenor and baritone and bass division at their recent awards, and he's with us on the Oakland County Megacast. More information, of course, can be found on Oakland University's website, oakland.edu, to keep up to date on everything happening in the music department. Kellen, for you as a musician and as an aspiring music teacher, what led you to Oakland University? What ultimately decided that their music program was the perfect place for you?
So I went to Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp in high school, where I met the amazing Dr. Michael Mitchell. He is a fabulous choral director. He is an inspiring human being. And everybody on the vocal music staff and the music education staff is passionate about their students here at Oakland. They work hard to make this program work for them. They work hard to give their students opportunities and experiences like going to Spain and like participating in competitions like the National Association of Teachers of Singing that are just unparalleled to any university I've seen thus far for an undergraduate program.
How helpful have they been in your experience, just as a developing musician and learning the craft on a professional level, but also as you're preparing to eventually, in your ideal situation, be teaching people in the future to sing themselves?
Oh, I wouldn't be half the teacher or musician or singer that I am today without the help of people like Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Drake Dantzler, Dr. John Paul White, Dr. Alta Boover. They've worked so hard and poured so much energy into me and my musicianship, and Dr. Deborah Vanderland into the way that we teach others. There are no words to describe the amount of work and the amount of resources that they've poured into me and all of the students here at Oakland University, so that way we can be successful in our music careers, our teaching careers, and everything else here at Oakland.
We're joined by Kellen Dunlap. He is an Oakland University vocal music student joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Kellen, as a music teacher, it's good to get your perspective on this. So many people love to sing. They recognize that they're not very good at it in some cases, and maybe they're just bashful about it. For someone that teaches vocal music and has practiced vocal music for as long as you have, what advice do you have for the novice singer in developing their voice and developing their technique?
Oh, that's a tricky question. Just sing, right? You can, everybody has a voice to share, right? Even somebody who thinks that they can't sing, sure, right? But they can always show a different perspective to music, right? We talked about poetry a second ago when we talked about communicating. You might have a different perspective on the poetry, and that's just as beautiful, right? So there is beauty in sound, and there's also beauty in interpretation too. So just sing, right? You sing in the car, sing in the shower, right? And have fun with it. I had a teacher one time tell me, you know what? If you can be the best musician, but if you're not having fun, it ain't done, right? So just have fun making music. And that's the most important part of what we do.
Kellen, describe the feelings that you have when you are creating music, because it's clearly fun for you, and clearly you took that advice from one of your teachers about having fun with your music. So when you are singing, or when you are working with other people to teach them to sing, what sort of feelings do you get out of that experience, and why does that keep you passionate about music?
I think it's indescribable, Tyler. It's seeing my students have that light bulb moment. I'm a young singer, right? So I remember when I had a lot of these light bulb moments that my students are having. And the thrill that I got is only magnified when I see it in others. Discovering how to sing with freedom in your voice and easily with breath support and effortless text communication. these are powerful things that we do as vocal musicians, and seeing others discover how to communicate and sing easily is that's just an indescribable feeling. Absolutely.
We're joined by Colin Dunlap. He is an Oakland University music student joining us on the Megacast. He's also the recent first prize recipient of the National Association of Teachers of Singing's Upper Classical Tenor, Baritone, and Bass Division recognition, and he joins us on the Oakland County Megacast. You can keep up to date on everything happening in the Oakland University Department of Music by visiting their website, oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu for more information on everything happening at Oakland University, including their prolific music theater and dance department in the school of in their school over there at Oakland University. Kellen, we have just a few more minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. If everyone has a certain connection to their music of choice, for musicians that play a certain instrument or certain set of instruments, there's always some draw that keeps them coming back to that specific instrument. So for you, your instrument is your voice. What about that specific tool of creating music forms that connection with you that has drawn that passion for so long?
So it kind of goes back to how I started singing in the first place. I started singing from acting, from doing plays and performances. And of course, a huge part of that is your voice and communicating words, right? And I think my love of music and my love of theater combine in the art of classical music, opera, musical theater, and cabaret. That love of beautiful sounds that we can create with music and theatrical art combine in singing, in the voice.
We're joined by Kellen Dunlop. He is a Oakland University music student with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Kellen, before we let you go, anything else we haven't talked about today that you'd like to say about music, about teaching, about Oakland University, or anything else we haven't discussed?
I do want to say that Oakland University has done so much for me as a musician, as a teacher, as a learner. They have poured so many resources into me, and I know that it's not exclusive to me. It's to all of their students. They have an amazing program. It's a small program, but because of that, we get, we're all first class, right? We're all first class students in their mind. We're not numbers, right? We get individual attention by our professors because of, the smaller program. But because of that, we get a lot of attention, a lot of time on stage, and our professors know all of us by name. And that's not something that every undergraduate program can offer. And just unparalleled music education in the Midwest.
We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on your recent award.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Let's take a short break on the Oakland County Megacast. When we come back, we'll talk election season with West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder. That's next. You're watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast, our live daily 1-hour program about all things Oakland County. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program on our website at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. The primary elections are less than a month away, and as we get ready to head to the polls, there's a lot that we need to know for both August and the general election in November. Joining us now on the program is West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder on the Oakland County Megacast. Debbie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Good morning, Tyler. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, good to have you with us. The primaries are slated for Michigan on Tuesday, August 2nd. Can you talk about what preparations your office and what similar general preparations are being made at clerk's offices across Michigan to prepare for the primary in August, and then a short jump from that to the general election for the gubernatorial election, the midterms in November?
Okay, well, one thing to remember this year, there's a lot of preparation. We're getting ready to really get going with preparations for elections. We're coming out of a 2020 census and including the redistricting. So every single voter in West Bloomfield Township and every single voter across the state will receive a new voter identification card from their local clerk. We're asking our residents to pay attention to those cards in case your precinct or your polling location has changed. Most of our changes in West Bloomfield were not related to redistricting. They were actually related to the fact that we had 3 precincts that were we're allowed to have no more than 2,999 voters per precinct. We had 3 precincts that were almost at that number. We did have to expand 1 precinct. We were able to mix larger precincts in with smaller precincts. And for the most part, most of our voters will not change polling location, even if they change precincts. So that will help make it a lot less confusing for our voters. The voters that will have to change precinct are predominantly those that live on the west side of Town Hall that are precinct 15. They will switch to to vote at Temple Israel. But the rest of our changes will predominantly take place within their same polling location. I do recommend, though, that everybody look at that voter identification card when it comes out, because that will confirm all of the details you need for where your precinct is, who your people you're voting for. This being a gubernatorial election, one important reminder in a primary, Tyler, that's so critical. In a primary, your people are selecting who's going to represent the party. In the November general, they're selecting who's going to represent everybody. So when you vote your primary ballot, it is critical that the voter knows that you can only vote one party on that ballot. If you cross over and vote for the other party, you void the partisan section of the ballot. So it is really important that voters are aware of that and paying attention to staying on one side of the ballot.
We're joined by Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, with us on the Megacast as we prepare for the primary election season in August and then the general election for the midterm in November. And so there's been some controversy lately on the Republican side of the gubernatorial ballot related to invalid and potentially forged signatures for petitions to be on the primary ballot in August. Those, of course, are being deliberated as of the morning that we are recording this and broadcasting this live originally by the state's Board of Canvassers. As many as half of the current Republican field may not be eligible by the Board of Canvassers' decision to be on the primary ballot in August, and they can, of course, appeal that in court. So as that's happening, and as you as a local clerk are preparing for that election, how does the uncertainty on what will be on the ballot impact that preparation? And when do our local clerks know officially from the state, without any potential for change, what's going to be on that ballot? So especially for absentee ballots, they can start sending those out and be prepared for the day of the election.
Well, the answer is that the issues that you're speaking of do not take place at the local level. Those are state level issues, and they will then come down to the county, and the county will give us guidance as well. We know that we have to have ballots available for the public statutorily by June 23rd. So those ballots will be, ordered in time. The state and the county will let us know. The county orders the ballots, so they will be taking care of that. I can't give you an exact process that they follow because it's just not something that's within our purview.
And so, as I mentioned, absentee ballots also impacted by that. You know what you're going to be getting from the county, as you said, about June, and then those absentee ballots will then be sent out. Are there deadlines for requesting an absentee ballot? Because there's been confusion in the past that has been cleared up numerous times and again can be cleared up again in this conversation, that when absentee ballot applications are sent out, or when someone requests an absentee ballot application, they're not getting that ballot. They get the ballot later on. So when are those ballots sent out, and is there a deadline if someone would like to vote absentee of when they need to submit an absentee ballot?
Well, I will give you the easy answer first, which the answer is that a resident or a voter can request an absentee ballot up till 4 p.m. the day before the election, the Monday before the election. Also important to point out that the clerks, all clerks' offices maintain weekend hours the weekend before an election. So how you choose to appropriate those hours is up to each office. We will be open on Saturday prior to the election from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for absentee voting. But again, a voter may request an absentee ballot up to 4 p.m. on the Monday before an election. Now, one difference is Proposal 3 of 2018 allowed for same-day registration, and a person who registers on the same day has a choice of voting in a precinct or voting by absentee. But that same-day registrant is the only person that can obtain an absentee ballot on election day. So, and I forgot the first part of the question, and I apologize.
We're joined by Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, joining us on the Megacast. More information on voting in West Bloomfield can be found on their website at wbtownship.org. You can also find more information on voting on your local clerk's department's website as well. Just go to your municipality's website, navigate through to your clerk's department, or call your clerk's office if you have any question. There are friendly clerk's offices all across the state of Michigan willing to answer your questions, especially as we head into election season. And so, Debbie, for those that are concerned about elections following 2020, whether they're concerned about people that are trying to delegitimize the election processes that our clerk's departments and those workers and the election workers go through, or those that are just curious about the process and would like to get involved and really see just what goes in to orchestrating free and fair elections. What goes into being an election worker, and how great of a need is there for election workers in West Bloomfield and your community, but also from your discussions with other clerks across the state and communities all across Michigan?
Well, it's always the best way to be, to have your fears allayed with election processes is to participate as an election inspector. Definitely reassures people, as does the training. So there is always a need, as we see an aging population in our election workers, there's always a need to bring in more people and expand the pool that we have of election workers. In 2020, we had a large number come forward, but we're just not sure how many of those will come back. So it's always an opportunity to get involved. I also invite people to attend the training just to learn what really goes on in the preparations and to understand the process. And I'm happy to give anybody a tour of what an absentee ballot undergoes. I think if people really understood the process, they would be far more, calmed in their fears. So I would make our office available to somebody who wants to arrange a tour, somebody who wants to attend a training. But the best way, really the best way to get involved and understand the process is to work as an election inspector. Almost every activity that takes place on election day involves people representing two different parties. So we're always looking if, different municipalities may be stronger in one party than another, or having that diversity of parties. So it's always good to reach out because they're looking for people to make sure that they're represented fairly on both sides. Or all sides.
And you don't necessarily have to be an election worker in order to go through those processes and question how election processes are being undergone on the day of. There are other avenues, too, that can be taken that also are cross-party for cross-checking various ballots or processes. Can you talk about some of those availabilities, too, that people have on Election Day at their precincts and at absentee ballot voting boards in your community and other communities in Michigan?
Okay, well, one thing that will be changing, Tyler, actually, as of fairly recently with our community, is Proposal 3 of 2018 also allowed the county to run an AV counting board. And previously, they did not have room for us to participate. This year, they will have room for us to participate. So we will be joining 16 other communities in Oakland County, having the county process the ballots received before 4 p.m. the day before. For those that are worried that this is a change, this is not. This is 42 states conduct their elections at the county level. There are 8 states that have what's called decentralized elections, where they're conducted by your local clerk. So the county will be processing those, and the ballots that come in after will be being processed at the precincts, which again is the old way for communities that are smaller or don't have AV counting boards. That's the way they were processed. So there's nothing new. It's just going to be a new process to West Bloomfield. This became important because the 10 hours of pre-processing that we had in 2020 had a sunset clause, and it is not going to be available at this point for any of the elections for 2022. We were still here on Election Day till 1 a.m. So people who are awaiting those results, if you take that 10-hour day we had before and add it on to the end, people won't get the results till late on Wednesday, as well as it's just not fair to the human beings that work in an absent voter counting board. So this will enable us to get results quicker, and it will just make it an all-around smoother process with the size of elections now. Tyler, to give you an idea, since I came in 2016, we have seen a 10% increase in registered voters, a 15% increase in ballots cast, and 119% increase in absentee voting, which is everyone's right they are given from Proposal 3 of 2018. But that right has led to an increase. Those absentee ballots take a lot more effort than a precinct vote. A precinct voter, we set up a precinct, they go there and they vote. When we get an absentee ballot, we have to send out an application, receive an application, send out a ballot, receive the ballot, verify the signature, check everything against the qualified voter file. Again, a process people would be reassured if they saw. So there's a lot more back-end work that we've seen that kind of a large increase in the numbers of absentee ballots that have come in.
We're joined by West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder on the Michigan Megacast, talking about preparations being made for upcoming elections and special considerations for these primaries coming up in August 2nd, Tuesday, August 2nd in Michigan, and then the general elections in November for the gubernatorial election, the midterm election, all across the state of Michigan. And so you mentioned earlier that often if there are disputes in a polling location or while the votes are being tallied on the local or county level, that those disputes are often worked out by people by individuals who affiliate with both parties. Take us through a scenario, a hypothetical scenario, or even a true story scenario from past elections of where a dispute has come up and how those are deliberated and ultimately resolved by members who are representatives of both parties on the day of elections.
Well, most of the scenarios take place. The only difference between voting in a precinct and voting by absentee is that if you make a mistake in a precinct, the ballot will be brought back to you. You can correct that mistake. If you make a mistake and you're voting by absentee, there's no voter there to correct that mistake. But we are not a voter intent state. That means that dual team is not deciding what the voter meant. It's looking at a ballot, and two parties would have to agree on that. If sometimes there's a stray mark that's in one of the boxes that the machine will read as an overvote. Well, if two parties look at that ballot and they say, well, one's clearly a colored box and the other's just that they accidentally nicked it with their pen, that dual team is going to decide together that it's very clear that that was just an erroneous mark that led to that overvote, and it's not a legitimate overvote. So that's the kind of decision. But really, in terms of deciding what a voter meant, that's not the level of dispute that they're solving. It's more just difference of a clear error, and that's why you have two parties that agree. Almost every task, when you seal the ballot bags on election day, when you sign the zero tape, you have multiple parties represented in a precinct that are all agreeing that the tabulator starts in the morning with 0 recorded votes. They're signing off on that. They're signing off on the number of ballots that have gone through. Everything is accounted for down to like a spreadsheet. It all balances at the end.
We're joined by Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, on the Megacast, talking about elections as clerks' departments all across the Great Lakes State prepare for August for the primaries and November for the general election and the midterms. Debbie, before we let you go, any other considerations that voters should be making or should be keeping in mind as we approach August 2nd, Tuesday, August 2nd, for the primary elections, and they prepare to go to the polls?
Yeah, you know what, and I do remember this was something we were headed toward earlier, and I kind of veered off in the wrong direction. But when people request an absentee ballot, when you get that application, we don't automatically send a ballot unless we receive a signature verified application, and that's required for every election. The only time that would be different, it would be this year where you have a primary and a general. You will get a dual application where you can sign to receive a ballot for both elections. We also have a permanent absent voter application list, but what that list means is you will automatically get an application, not a ballot. And that's where we often have confusion. People think that if they're on that list, they automatically get a ballot. You will not get a ballot if we don't receive a signature verified application. So please keep that in mind, that we need one for every election or election cycle as a primary general. The only difference for that would be our overseas and military voters, who are allowed to fill out one application for the entire year. But everybody else must fill out one per election or per election cycle. So again, and another thing to remember, when you sign that application or you sign your ballot, we're comparing it against a signature that we have typically from your driver's license or your state ID. If there's a question and we have an alternate signature on file, that will also count. But make sure if there's any question, you contact the clerk's office to make sure we have an alternate signature. That's mostly our youth who are maturing their signatures. They take responsible jobs, or our elderly who may have health issues. So they just have to get a different signature on file that matches what they're for that voter. Important things to think about. And another big important message for this election, Tyler, is going to be to prepare for delayed mail. We had that before, and the mail continues to be delayed. Plan ahead. Allow yourself time to cure a deficiency. An example would be you forgot to sign your ballot. We're making every effort through election day of contacting that voter by, if we have an email or a phone number, we're calling, we're sending a letter. The more time you allow, if you forget something like to sign your ballot, we're able to contact you to come in and cure that deficiency, or the signature doesn't match. So plan ahead. I recommend using the drop boxes if you're able to not rely on the mail. And if you do have to rely on the mail, which many of our our college students that are away at school have to, plan ahead and mail early. Don't wait until last minute. I can't stress that enough. It is so important to make sure that you're turning that ballot in as soon as possible. People who are worried that your candidate might drop out or an issue may change, you're always able to come in, and there are deadlines that we would give you if you call, to spoil the ballot you were issued and receive a new one, so you are able to change your vote in the event there's some change. But it's important to remember, don't wait till last minute. Allow time to cure any deficiency, as well as that ballot to get to us, and make sure that you are protecting your vote as much as we are protecting your vote.
Debbie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll kick off the Michigan Megacast on your radio homes for the show, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, with U.S. Representative Andy Levin from Michigan's 9th District. That's up next on the Michigan Megacast.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome to the Michigan Megacast, our live daily 1-hour program about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more today. We'll talk to our national political leaders, local artists, and nonprofits as well about what's important to you right here in the state of Michigan. Learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. And there's so many great resources involved in our Megacast network. Let's take a quick gander through them before we get to our first guest in the Michigan Megacast. We have so many great places that you can go, so many great partnering stations that do excellent community programming in local assigned areas all throughout the state of Michigan each and every day, including joining us here for the Oakland County Megacast from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, as well as the Michigan Megacast from 11 o'clock to noon. All of those programs, all those different stations can be found on our website at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link. Go to civiccentertv.com, click on our Megacast link, and then there's links to each and every one of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us every day on the Michigan Megacast. In addition, on our website, on our Megacast page, you'll find all of our programs on demand, each full episode and individual interview, so you can watch the Megacast on your time and at your pace. We know certain issues or certain people or persons of interest are the focal points for you. You want to hear from your political leaders. You want to hear from your local leaders. Maybe you want to keep your news a little bit lighter and hear from people that are running great nonprofits or local artists or people that are working on special projects in communities all throughout the state. You can pick and choose from our variety of different guests every single day on the Michigan Megacast by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com, and clicking on our Megacast link. You can also go to one of our partnering stations' websites, our flagship for the Michigan Megacast, My Michigan TV's website, mymytv.com. It's My Michigan TV, Michigan's streaming network with about all things the state of Michigan. We have original programming all day long, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. until well into the afternoon, including here on the Michigan Megacast, the Oakland County Megacast. Before that, the Splash Live, which is a news program in Greater West Bloomfield and the Oakland County area of Michigan. And then, of course, Steve Lado Live, another one of our great programs here on My Michigan TV. Steve is a lawyer. He's a Michigan historian. So much great information, and he can take whatever's happening in Michigan at any time and really dive into it and give a lot of detail. We highly encourage you to go to our website, mymytv.com, mymytv.com, to learn more information about all of our programs and download the free My Michigan TV apps for your smartphones and your smart TVs. Take My Michigan TV home with you and take Michigan on the road in the state of Michigan and all around the world. You'll always have Michigan in your pocket with the free My Michigan TV streaming app. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll come back and we'll continue on with more. This is the Michigan Megacast.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast, our live daily 1-hour program about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting our website on civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, or by visiting My Michigan TV's website at mymytv.com, mymytv.com, to learn more about My Michigan TV, or as we call it, My. Joining us now on the Megacast is U.S. Representative Andy Levin, representing Michigan's 9th Congressional District and seeking the Democratic nomination by way of primary election vote for Michigan's newly drawn 11th Congressional District. For reference, we have reached out to the Haley Stevens campaign on the Democratic side as well, and we'll reach out to Republicans running in the 11th District in spirit of equal time this primary season. Representative Levin, appreciate you joining us today.
Hey, Tyler, it's great to be with you.
Good to have you on. So recently, a lot has been going on in Washington, D.C., particularly a lot of action from the U.S. Supreme Court. Of course, on June 24th, they made an historic decision overturning Roe versus Wade in another decision, of course, down the line. You attended a rally on the day of in protest of that decision that is affecting so many lives here in Michigan and across the U.S. Give us your thoughts, on the day of that decision and your continued thoughts now in some of the rhetoric that's also been said and other action that's been taken from the Supreme Court since June 24th.
Well, I'm furious, Tyler. I mean, the idea of taking away women's control over their own bodies and their own decisions that they've had constitutionally for 50 years, it's outrageous, it's wrong, and we're going to fight back tooth and nail. That morning, I demonstrated with colleagues at the Supreme Court. When I flew home, I went out to Ferndale and demonstrated there. And then Beaumont and Spectrum made the announcement that day that they were going to stop providing abortion services because of the 1931 law. Here, I said, no, there's an injunction against that law. I called the CEO and said, you've got to follow the law as it is right now. And within 24 hours, thankfully, they reversed themselves and they continue to provide the whatever necessary abortion services they were providing before. So we've got to continue to battle to protect the rights of everybody who can get pregnant and have a baby to make their own decisions right on through.
Representative Levin, there's been a lot of talk in recent years and in the past when the topic of Roe versus Wade potentially being overturned by the Supreme Court came into discussion, certainly after recent nominations to the Supreme Court during the Trump administration that gave a conservatively nominated majority on the Supreme Court, even though it is supposed to be a nonpartisan branch of the government. That being said, as we discuss the potential of codifying the Roe versus Wade into law, there seems to be also some discussion too, some confusion with those in the general public. They may not understand what that would do to provide these services or provide the allowance of these services to people who can get pregnant throughout the U.S., thinking, well, if they overturn Roe versus Wade, couldn't the Supreme Court declare that this law is also unconstitutional? Take us through what codifying Roe versus Wade would mean for those that can get pregnant in the U.S., and particularly on this issue of abortion.
Yes, well, so what the Supreme Court did was say there's no right in the Constitution itself to access abortion care. Certainly Congress can passes many laws to do things that aren't guaranteed in the Constitution. So we have already voted to pass the Women's Health Protection Act through the House, and we need the Senate to pass it, and that would codify Roe v. Wade. It would put it into law so that even if this Supreme Court wrongfully says it's not a constitutional right, anyway, it would become a right in statute, in the law of the land nationally. At the same time, we need to fight here in Michigan so that I'm just thrilled that the Michigan Reproductive Freedom for All ballot initiative just announced that we got the most signatures ever for any ballot initiative. And that would put the freedom to access abortion care into the Michigan Constitution, so that here in Michigan, at least, it would be there as a right, as a fundamental right that no legislature can take away. Basically, your question is such a great one. If the Constitution gives you something, no legislation can touch it. But if the Constitution is silent, as the Supreme Court says, the federal government or states can still pass statutes that give you those rights. And that's what we need to do in Congress. And meanwhile, we need to try to amend our Constitution here in Michigan to give us that right in this state.
We're joined by U.S. Representative Andy Levin, representing Michigan's 9th Congressional District at this time, and is currently running in a Democratic primary to represent Michigan's newly drawn 11th Congressional District. He'll be running in the primary election on the Democratic side of the ballot in August against Representative Haley Stevens, also currently an incumbent in the U.S. House of Representatives. We have reached out to her campaign as well in the spirit of equal time between candidates. Representative Levin, going back onto the Roe versus Wade issue and the continued discussion about potentially codifying Roe versus Wade into the constitutional law federally, there is a Democratic majority in the Senate at this time. However, there are some obstructions that are in place that would make passing this legislation you discussed that would codify Roe versus Wade difficult to get through the Senate. How important is it for the Democratic Party, which seems to be leading the charge to codify Roe versus Wade, to overcome those obstructions, particularly the filibuster, in order to get this into law, especially considering that that the midterm elections are coming up, and those could also have a significant impact on your party's ability to pass this legislation.
Right. Well, my view is that the midterm elections are going to be a big wake-up call for America, and people are going to come out in droves to defend our rights and elect Democrats up and down the ballot because we are the ones who vote to protect reproductive freedom. And it's not about, people can be for abortion, against abortion. It's not like that. We're a secular democracy where nobody's religion or views is supposed to determine what someone else can do. And that's all my position is, leave it up to each woman and her doctor, each person who can get pregnant and their doctor. So codifying Roe v. Wade is super important. We don't even have 50 senators, we don't have all 50 Democratic senators who are for this right now. I believe Senator Manchin is not. So we need to elect more Democrats to the Senate. And we absolutely need to get rid of the filibuster over there. And I've said that from way before this issue, Tyler, because the filibuster is a vestige of Jim Crow. It was put there just to prevent Black people from becoming full equal citizens of the United States. That's all it was used for most of its history. And it is stopping the Senate from doing the people's business. The founding fathers didn't want to let minorities, a minority rule in the Senate and block progress. Right now, as long as you have 41 people in the Senate, you can stop almost any bill from happening. And that's why the Senate isn't acting on giving workers the freedom to form unions and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour and, passing the Equality Act to protect the rights of all LGBTQ people and so many other things that we need to get done for the people of this country. So we got to get rid of the filibuster over there. But having a 50-50 Senate just doesn't cut it. We've got to elect more Democrats in the Senate so we can get the people's business done. Because even with getting rid of the filibuster, if one or two people aren't with you, you can't pass something. And so we need a bigger margin over there.
We're joined by U.S. Representative Andy Levin, representing Michigan's 9th Congressional District at this time, and is running in the primary election this August to represent Michigan's newly drawn 11th Congressional District as well. Representative Levin, 6 weeks ago, of course, we had the tragic school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, at an elementary school. Of course, over the holiday weekend, another mass shooting, which is just one of many in the last several weeks, this time in Highland Park, just outside of Chicago in Illinois. Can you talk to us about some legislation that you're working on, including the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act? This would enhance background checks for prospective gun owners under the age of 21. Also would extend the time period from 3 days to 10 days, allowing law enforcement to do initial mental health and juvenile criminal records, as well as other background checks as well. Can you talk about this legislation, where it's at in the process, and some of the other details other than what I've just previewed that this would do to help address the gun violence issue in the U.S.?
Yes, well, I'm happy to say that the Senate has finally passed some basic, some of the narrowest sensible gun reform legislation, and the president has signed it. So we have passed these regulations to subject 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to more stringent background checks, to deal with ghost guns, to do more mental health work, to encourage states to pass red flag laws. But we need to do much, much more, Tyler. After the Oxford shooting, I wrote the Protect Children Through Safe Gun Ownership Act. It would regulate minors having access to handguns, making sure there's parental supervision. It would require safe storage and of guns and ammunition in homes. And it would provide funds for school systems to do age-appropriate education for parents and kids on keeping kids safe from guns. And that my new legislation has been backed by all the major sensible gun reform groups and by both teachers' unions because of the educational provisions. We have to do much, much more. We have to ban assault weapons. We have to make background checks completely universal. We have to get rid of these high-capacity magazines completely. America has a big problem here, Tyler. You can't put it off on mental health. You can't put it off on other things. We have way, way more deaths by guns than any other country. It's not like 20% more or 50% more or twice as much. it's 3 and 5 and 10 and 20 times as many. So you mentioned how many mass shootings there were and homicides just over July 4th weekend. You know how many there have been in the United Kingdom this whole year? 4 gun homicides the whole year in the United Kingdom, when we have 5 times that many deaths by gun every day in the United States. So we've got to do more. It's a public health epidemic, really. And it's not about the Second Amendment, because people can, have a right to have guns, but we need to, if you have to have so much regulation and training and everything to drive a car, it makes sense to, have just sensible restrictions and requirements about gun ownership, so we can stem this horrifying death toll. Tyler, now being killed by guns is the #1 cause of death of children in this country. I mean, that's just completely unacceptable and unnecessary.
We're joined by U.S. Representative Andy Levin on the Michigan Megacast. He's currently the representative of the 9th Congressional District in the state of Michigan. He's running for re-election, this time in a new district, the 11th Congressional District, where he is running in the Democratic primary against current U.S. Representative Haley Stevens. They'll be competing against each other in the primary for the Democratic side of the ballot coming up in August. I do want to address that too, Representative Levin. First of all, what are your thoughts on the new maps here in Michigan, and what led you to decide that you're going to run in the 11th Congressional District, especially given that another representative is also running in that district, who's also in your party and is also currently in Congress?
Yes, well, so, we don't have any control over the maps. I'm glad we passed this voters not politician thing to get the partisanship out of it. So they drew these maps, and there was no question for me that I would run in the new 11th, because that's where I live. My house is smack dab in the middle of it. Mary and I, my wife and I, have lived there for 16 years. And we've raised all 4 of our kids there. I grew up in Berkeley. That's in the new 11th district. My dad lives in Royal Oak in the new 11th district. His mom was born in Birmingham in 1898 in the new 11th district. So, really, my kids are the 5th generation of my family to live here. And everybody that I represent almost in Oakland County is in the new 11th district. So it was a real no-brainer. It's unfortunate to be in a Democratic primary, but you know what? I'm running on my record. I'm running as the progressive, as the principled candidate, as the pragmatic candidate who's gotten a lot done in Congress. And I'll let the people, choose us instead of us trying to choose our voters. I don't really believe in that. And this is a democracy. So let the people decide. And I'm all good with it.
We're joined by U.S. Representative Andy Levin, currently representing the 9th Congressional District, representing Michigan in the U.S. Congress. He is running for the 11th Congressional District in the state of Michigan in the Democratic primary coming up in August. He'll be going up against also current U.S. Representative Haley Stevens. I want to give you some opportunity, Representative Levin, before we wrap up here. This past April, you introduced the Guaranteeing Overtime for Truckers Act in Congress that would repeal certain exemptions in the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA, that are restricting overtime for truck drivers. Can you talk about that legislation, where that is at, and how that would benefit truckers, especially at this time with the supply chain issues continuing to be what they are, and trucking being even more important now than it has been before, when it still has been vital to our economy?
Absolutely. This would benefit truckers, but it would also benefit all of us in multiple ways, Tyler. It's a great example of my bipartisan work in Congress. This is the lead co-sponsor is Jeff Van Drew, a Republican from New Jersey. So this is amazing. The over-the-road truckers have been exempted from overtime pay. They have not gotten overtime pay for the whole history of the Fair Labor Standards Act since the 1930s. And so it gives companies an incentive to try to work truckers overtime. That makes their lives miserable, and it keeps pay suppressed, and it's not fair to them. And so the turnover in trucking is incredible. There's not enough truck drivers, and it contributes to these supply chain problems. And so by ending the exemption, putting overtime pay back there for truck drivers, we would, first of all, truck drivers would have a better life. They'd make more money, and they'd have more reasonable hours. Secondly, we would reduce turnover. and have more, veteran truck drivers staying with the profession, we would ease the supply chain problems by having an adequate supply of truckers. But Tyler, there's a whole nother benefit that I didn't even realize when I started on this. It would improve safety and save lives, because it turns out, it's not that surprising, that new truck drivers in their first year are involved in many, many more accidents than more veteran truck drivers. So you cut turnover and you save lives. And that's why all the major trucking safety groups have backed this legislation, because, they've lost a loved one to an accident when some super tired trucker fell asleep and crossed over and killed got in a crash. I mean, we really can improve safety and the supply chain problem and the lives of truckers by passing the Guaranteed Overtime for Truckers Act. So we've introduced it. It's gaining a lot of momentum, and I'm pushing for a hearing on it as soon as possible.
Representative Levin, appreciate your time. Anything else for us before we let you go today?
No, Tyler, that's it. I'm just so happy to be, running in Oakland County, where I'm from, in this new 11th district. And I encourage everybody to get out and vote. And this is our democracy, and we've seen how fragile it is. So everybody participate, because there's not above any given issue of policy is saving our democracy, and getting out and voting is one way you can do your part. Thanks, Tyler.
Appreciate it, Representative Levin. We're going to take a break here on the Michigan Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk to someone who is truly 1 in 1,000 that you'll be able to meet very soon in Ann Arbor. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Michigan Megacast.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast, our live daily 1-hour show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program on our website at civiccentertv.com, on our Megacast link, or on the website of My Michigan TV at mymytv.com, mymitv.com. Where you can learn more about how you can follow the Megacast live and on demand every day on the free My Michigan TV apps for your smartphones and your smart TVs. With us now on the program is Jennifer Chirpik. She is the owner of Serenity Ceramics and one of the thousands of artists you will find this year at the Ann Arbor Art Fair. Jennifer, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself and the art that you produce.
Well, I am a potter or ceramic artist, and I live in New Jersey. I'm here in my home studio in New Jersey. I work in porcelain clay, and I make functional and decorative items such as mugs, bowls, vases, and I'm excited to be part of the Ann Arbor Art Fair coming up in July.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting event. It begins Thursday, July 21st. It goes until Saturday, July 23rd. It'll be featuring thousands of artists, 30 blocks of Ann Arbor. It's going to be a very fun event for all you art lovers out there. So for you, you are, as you said, a ceramic artist. You're a potter. When did that really, no pun intended, cement itself as your art of choice?
Well, it really started for me, I guess, about 25 years ago. I always loved art in general. Even as a child, I took different art classes, painting, jewelry, all different types of things. And I actually didn't start out as an artist. I didn't go to school for it, but I went to school for business. I actually went to school and became a CPA. Because I had the influence of family and just that voice in my head telling me to do something practical with your life, something that will make money, and where you don't have to, worry about your career and your livelihood. So I did that, but I just couldn't get the art out of my system, really. So I started taking classes at a community art school after work at night. And I did painting at first, and then I did a little bit of sculpting, and then I went on the potter's wheel, and then that was it. I knew that's what I wanted to do, at least for a hobby. So it started out as that. But it took a while for me to get up the courage to slowly transition over to becoming a professional artist and doing that full time.
So where did that transition happen, and what ultimately did inspire you to say, I'm going to make this my career. I'm going to be the artist I've always been?
It happened about 20 years ago. So next year I'll be celebrating my 20th year in business. Thank you. And it really started because I made a life change where I moved from New Jersey to California. And I think getting away from the metropolitan area and being in a new place and being around new people and really not having any expectations and enjoying kind of the carefree lifestyle that was more a part of what it was like in Los Angeles, that made me feel a little bit freer to explore what I really wanted to do. So I continued to do my pottery there while I was still working part-time as an accountant. And I started to do some small little art fairs. I would go to the farmer's market once a week and set up my tent and bring out my wares. And I just really loved that. And the feedback I was getting was really great. And that encouraged me to keep doing that, do a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually I started doing some larger art fairs. And I did wind up coming back home to New Jersey about 18 years ago. And that's when I really focused on having my art career be, take off and really having that be the prominent source of income for me. It was definitely a learning curve, but was worth it in the end.
We're joined by Jennifer Cherpak, owner of Serenity Ceramics, who will be participating in the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair this summer, July 21st through 23rd in Ann Arbor with us on the Michigan Megacast. And so for each individual artist, their inspiration can vary. Sometimes it's just whatever comes to mind in the moment, and you paint what you're thinking, you design what you're thinking, whatever comes to mind. And others draw inspiration from their life or from experiences or from something out in the world. For you, Jennifer, what inspires you in your art and in the ceramics that you're creating?
I think it was that transition of moving to a new place and being in an area where the land was so beautiful that I wanted to capture the beauty of the landscape, of the mountains and of the beach and the ocean waves and things. So to me, my work is all landscape. I love to capture the lines in the mountains and the ocean waves. And I try to pull the colors that are in nature and replicate them in my work and the different forms and lines.
And so during the pandemic, artists had a really tough time because these art shows, especially in the summers on the eastern side of the country and all throughout the year in the west, these art fairs weren't going on, or they were going on in any capacity. It was virtual, and it's a completely different environment. And I would imagine for artists who are traveling with their art, selling their art in these art fairs, it had to have been a really challenging time. Can you speak to how you and other artists as a community were able to weather through that, and how much of an inspiration it is to now be able to do that once again, and how that might impact your art going forward?
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult time for us, and along with everyone else. I think I went through different stages when it occurred. In the beginning, being from the East Coast, we got hit the hardest, in the beginning. So I think I kind of allowed myself not to worry too much about what was going on in my career for just the first couple of weeks. I was more focused on, is everyone going to be safe? Is my family going to be safe? So I had that in my head at the moment. And then once we realized that things were not going to be opening back up in 2 weeks, and this was going to be going on for a while, then I started to think about what I can do. And the artists as a community kind of got together on our social media platforms and our groups and discussed the different ways that we can get ourselves out there without actually being in person. So, and we also gave each other support and helping find different means of, the different grants that were available, and how we could apply for unemployment and things like that could really, once we learned some information, we could share it with each other and help each other out. But it was definitely a transition of, once I learned that art fairs were going to be canceled and more were canceled, I had to think about what's the other way that I can get to my customers without actually seeing them in person. So I turned a lot more to the social media, and I created a website and, honed in on that. And it really forced me to think in a different way, which was a good thing in a way, because it did push me to try something new. It gave my customers a new way to see my work and to see a lot of the behind the scenes of what I do through my social media posts on Facebook and Instagram. So that was definitely a benefit. And going forward, I think, when things started to open back up, I think about June of 2021 was my first art fair. And it was amazing how the clients were so appreciative. Everybody was so happy to be back and about, and I'm so thankful that all the customers were so excited and able to support the artists again, and did so. Going forward, it's been really supportive. The customers have really been supportive.
We're joined by Jennifer Cherpak, the owner of Serenity Ceramics, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. You'll be one of thousands of artists participating in the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair. That's going to be occurring Thursday, July 21st, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Also on Friday, July 22nd, and Saturday, July 23rd, 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. in a 30-block zone of Ann Arbor. More information on AnnArborArtFair.com, or I'll learn more about Jennifer's art by visiting her website, SerenityCeramics.com. That's SerenityCeramics.com. And Jennifer, have you participated previously in the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair, or will this be your first time?
I have. I think this will be my 7th year at the show.
So what about this show keeps bringing you back? Because it is a giant art fair. This is 30 blocks, over 1,000 artists. I'm sure there are, if not dozens in your category in ceramics and pottery, maybe even hundreds, tons of competition. What keeps bringing you back to Ann Arbor?
I think it's has to do a lot with the energy of the show. It's not just an art fair that people will come and stop by. It's really an event that a lot of the patrons go out of their way to really plan. They either, have set up gatherings with friends, or it's a family event where they'll spend the whole day and see all the art and support the artists and the restaurants and watch the entertainment. So it's really a great energy that's there. And I have my clients that come back year after year. They'll come back and purchase again, or they'll come back to say how much they're enjoying their pieces. And it's really that sense of community and excitement that brings me back. It's a tough, we always say it's a tough show for artists to do because of the long hours, and it's usually hot, but it's always worth it in the end because we always have a great time and enjoy it.
More information about the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair can be found on AnnArborArtFair.com. We're joined by one of thousands of artists you will see in that 30-block area of Ann Arbor, July 21st through 23rd. With more information at AnnArborArtFair.com. Jennifer Chirpak, owner of Serenity Ceramics, joins us on the Michigan Megacast. More information about her art is at SerenityCeramics.com. SerenityCeramics.com. You also, I understand, you won an award at the Ann Arbor Art Fair last year. Can you tell us about that award?
I did. I was really a lovely surprise. I won the second best of show in the State Street area group. It was a really nice surprise and such an honor to be recognized, especially amongst so many talented artists.
So we don't want to give it all away. We want to leave some mystery so that people show up and are excited to find Serenity Ceramics at the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair. But what are some of the pieces that you are planning to be showcasing, or kinds of pieces you plan to be showcasing at this year's Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair?
Well, my mugs are always my most popular item. So I have these mugs here that I will be showing. I have two different sizes, the small and a large one, for those really big coffee drinkers. And then some of my newer work that I have is I've been doing some more sculptural pieces where I have thrown them on the wheel, but then go through and do some carvings into them and really changing the surfaces of the pieces. So those are the types of pieces that I'm excited to show this year.
You can learn more about those pieces and many more at SerenityCeramics.com. You can also learn more about the Ann Arbor Original Street Art Fair by visiting AnnArborArtFair.com. That will occur Thursday and Friday, July 22nd, 21st and 22nd from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. and Saturday, July 23rd, 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. Jennifer, anything else for us today before we will say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you for supporting the arts and come down to the Ann Arbor Art Fair. It's going to be a great time, and I appreciate you having me on.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's take a break on the Michigan Megacast. When we come back, we'll be joined by one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. This is Michigan Megacast.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast, our daily live one-hour show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program on our website at civiccentertv.com, on our Megacast link, or by visiting My Michigan TV's website at mymytv.com, mymytv.com, for more information on the Michigan Megacast and find us on demand as well. Joining us now on the Megacast is Mia Reid. She is the founder and CEO of the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center. Mia, thank you for being with us on the program today.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, just give us a little bit of background information and tell us about the services provided by the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center.
Thank you so much for having me. The Charles W. Reid Community Help Center is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are a grassroots organization that services the community of Detroit. We offer resources for families that have been impacted by gun violence and poverty.
What are some of the services or programs or the resources that are provided to these individuals and families?
We offer numerous services. We like to focus on the most basic needs. So we offer food, we offer basic need items such as deodorant, soap, toothpaste, tissue, the most basic needs that people sometimes struggle to acquire. We also offer resources for mental health services for those that are struggling with grief and trauma.
So how do people get these services from you? Are they coming to your organization, or are you going and finding them, some sort of vice versa?
Both. We are in the community consistently. We offer events for the community, and we also partner with organizations that are already established doing the same work in the community. Detroit has hundreds of organizations that are a resource to the community. So rather than reinventing the wheel, we just join, volunteer with other organizations, and we combine our resources with theirs so that the community is aware that these resources are even available to them.
We're joined by Mia Reid. She is the founder and the CEO of the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Mia, as the founder of this organization, how long has this organization been serving the community in the Detroit area? And also, what prompted you to find this organization to provide these services to people in the community?
This is our third year, and what motivated me as a licensed mental health therapist to want to do more for the community is because I was impacted by gun violence in 2011. On June 26, 2011, my firstborn and only son was taken due to gun violence. And I really struggled with that loss. Losing a child is not the normal order of life. So it is very difficult to navigate through that journey. And so once I did seek out help from another trauma-informed mental health therapist, it worked for me. And I was very excited, and I wanted to share those same tools and strategies with the community. And so unless you've experienced that type of grief and trauma, it's really hard for others to relate. So I wanted the community to know that I can relate. And I also offer those tools and strategies that will help them to navigate through that journey.
What are some of the events that you hold or participate in to help provide these services, or to even just raise the funds and the resources that are necessary to provide these services to people that are victims of gun violence in the Detroit area?
Currently, it is very difficult for a lot of grassroots, boots on the ground organizations to acquire funding. That's an area that's been very difficult for me. Thankfully, raising money through people that care about this particular issue, my board of directors and myself, and we funded pretty much all of our events. Some of the events that we offer are annual now. We have partnered with Crime Stoppers of Michigan. This would be our 4th year in a row. We volunteer with them. They have a Christmas event that is huge. It's amazing. Every year for families that have been impacted by gun violence, and they provide toys and food for the children and the family. And our organization volunteers with them the entire day. And we also donate toys to the families. The past 4 years, I think we've probably donated toys to over 800 families. Also in June, around my son's death date, this past June 26th, we bring awareness to gun violence, community gun violence. And we march with other community organizations that show up, and they also bring their resources to let the community know what resources they provide in the community. So we march right in the community with the community, and then we rally. And we have speakers such as the president of Crime Stoppers. We have Ceasefire. We have Moms Demand Action. We have some of our council members from Detroit, such as James Tate, and let the community know that we are here for them. We see them, we hear them, and these are the resources that we provide to help them.
We're joined by Mia Reid. She is the founder and CEO of the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. It is one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. There's a couple places you can find more information on this organization. ShareDetroit.org is one place, but you can also go directly to the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center's website at cwcommunityhelpcenter.org. That's cwcommunityhelpcenter.org to learn more information and to find their resources as well and get in contact with the organization also. Mia, on your website, you do have a link for volunteer opportunities, and that's especially critical to nonprofits at this time, given the financial constraints that mounted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And even before that, volunteerism has always been very important to our nonprofits. What are some of the volunteer opportunities that are available through your organization?
We have volunteer opportunities for others in the community that are tired. They are tired of the violence. They are tired of the gun violence, and they're sad. They feel bad. They want to do something. And so we offer opportunities for them to come and show up with us and join other organizations that are bringing awareness and to help us to show the community we're here. These are the resources that we offer. So Share Detroit is amazing. They have provided a platform where I have networked with other nonprofits, and I'm able to also work with them. So it's an amazing opportunity, and I just hope someone will think about joining us and volunteering, because it's going to take an entire community for us to make an impact to reduce gun violence.
We're joined by Mia Reid. She is the founder and CEO of the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center, joining us on the Megacast. More information on cwreidcommunityhelpcenter.org. That's cwcommunityhelpcenter.org, cwcommunityhelpcenter.org, or on sharedetroit.org for more information. Mia, just another minute with you before we'll need to say goodbye today. Anything else that we haven't discussed about your organization or the work that it's doing in the Detroit area that you'd like to mention today?
Yes, I'd also like to mention that our website is cwrcommunityhelpcenter.org, and we have an event coming up, our annual End Gun Violence Back to School book bag giveaway, and we have this event every August. It's going to be this year, August the 28th, and we're going to have speakers that are going to be able to share with you the resources that they offer in the community. We're going to be providing book bags for the community as well as basic need items.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Again, the website is cwrcommunityhelpcenter.org. That's cwrcommunityhelpcenter.org for more information. You can also go to sharedetroit.org to learn more about the Charles W. Reid Community Help Center, as well as over 300 other charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacast. You can find more information on the program, as always, on civiccentertv.com on our Megacast page, where you'll find links to each and every one of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us every day on the program, live and live to tape, as well as find all of our programs and each individual interview on demand also. Big thank you to everybody that joined us on this edition of the Megacast and told us more about their stories, their projects, and what they're working on for you right here in the state of Michigan. Big thank you as well to our crew. We have a small crew that does a lot behind the scenes to make this program and all of our programming at Civic Center TV and My Michigan TV possible. Big thank you to Jared Clark and Calvin Brown, our Zoom producer and our technical director, as well as our program director each and every day on the program. And then Larry Nyland, the king of television, our producer, booking all of our guests and helping them and us be ready for informative conversations on a number of different topics each and every day. That's it for today's Oakland County and Michigan Megacasts. We'll return Friday with new editions in the morning.